Hey everyone, and welcome to Don't Make a Scene. I'm your host, Jess, and in today's episode, I'm sitting down with Monica Garcia, a licensed mental health counselor who specializes in treating anxiety, depression, and the emotional complexities of pregnancy, postpartum, and motherhood. I chose to open the podcast with this conversation specifically because this topic is deeply personal for me. I silently struggled through postpartum, and it wasn't until I started opening up to other mothers that I realized just how much I needed connection in order to heal. What makes Monica so special is that she brings both professional insight and lived experience to the conversation. She is a mother. She's been through IVF. She's experienced postpartum depression that developed into OCD, and she speaks with such soul and intention and authenticity. She's definitely the kind of therapist you feel instantly safe with because she just gets it. We talk about so much in this episode. Monica shares her experience with hypnobirthing, what postpartum OCD can actually look like. I'm not even going to lie, I had no idea that postpartum OCD was actually a thing until her and I had a conversation. And we talk about how anxiety and depression can show up during both pregnancy and postpartum. One thing I've learned through this whole journey is that not two postpartum experiences look the same. It's different for everyone for sure, but the common thread is the need for support and the need for community and a village. And if you don't have one, I really hope this podcast and this conversation can be part of yours. A little behind the scenes moment, Monica and I actually recorded this episode a couple of months ago. We talked for over an hour and a half, and then the video literally disappeared. I have no idea where it went. I'm not techie. Who knows? But we decided to re-record the conversation. So that is what you're hearing today. I do have clips of the original conversation, like little magic clips, if you will. So I'll probably be sharing those on Instagram because the content is literally too good not to share. And if there's one thing I'm committed to on this podcast, it's speaking honestly about the shame-filled, raw, beautiful truth. So let's get into it. But I'm so happy I had my doulas. They came in, they educated me, they gave me all the books, they gave me, when you got pregnant, I sent you all of that stuff. I'm like,
that book changed my whole pregnancy. That was like my Bible. Like I loved that book. I learned so much.
what is it called again?
It's Ina May's something to childbirth.
Yeah, my brain doesn't work anymore, by the way. So this is a forever thing I've accepted.
It's by Ina May.
Yeah, it's Ina, and she lives out here in Tennessee, not too far from me. I kind of want to find her and be like, hi, like,
Oh my
love your book.
gosh. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would love because I think she still does births.
Yes,
I
they
would love
have
to
a
do
whole
my birth
center.
with her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a whole center a couple of hours away from me, and I'm like, should I do this? I'm waiting until I find her. No, I'm just kidding. I'm waiting
And then once
because
I
I
know
want
her
to have.
location, then I'll get pregnant.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's like, what are you waiting for? I'm like, Ina May. Anytime I find out someone's pregnant, I'm like, I am going to email them everything I know because it helped me so much. Everyone's like painting their walls, getting their nursery ready, which is great. I was literally in isolation, reading all the things, making bone broth and sipping on hot homemade bone broth like it was coffee. Like I was a crazy person. Like, anyways, but
Yeah, and that book was the book that taught me that because I also did like a hypnobirthing class, but that book talked about like eating during labor.
Mhm.
And that is like, and when you put it in perspective, like giving birth, like you're burning calories, when you're in labor, like you are running a marathon and a half. Like it is an intense thing. And the fact that you're not allowed to eat, like blows my mind. And
What
I
do they give
ate
you?
the whole time. Like I think I ate too much, but like, because I was just like being a rebel, but I ate my entire labor. It
You're like,
was
oh yeah, I can't eat. Someone give me that cheeseburger.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't
My
even
husband
eat,
got
but I'm.
PF Kings. I had like energy bars. Like I ate so much during labor. It's
Yeah.
insane.
I wonder what hospitals will do, like, if you decide to eat. Like, if my husband
Mine didn't let me. Had to
well,
hide.
what did they do?
I don't know. They just yell at you, I guess.
Oh,
Like one of my nurses was like, "Hey, so she was training to be a midwife." And my midwife was like, "Eat, like you're fine." And she's like, "I'm training to be a midwife, so I get it. I don't care if you eat, but the next shift of nurses are a little old school, so they might care. So if you do eat, just don't do it in front of them." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, fine." And but I don't know what they would do. Like
yeah. I just wonder the reasoning. I'm gonna look it up after we hang up, and I'm sure I did at some point and forgot about it, and I was like,
that you can't eat.
"Yeah,
So the reasoning that I understand is that if what I learned in my hypnobirthing class is they don't want you to eat just in case you need an emergency C-section because the anesthesia, like I guess you can like vomit with the anesthesia, but then that only happens in less than like 1% of people. So it's like the probability of that happening is really low. And then if you think about all the women rushed to the hospital who have emergency C-sections who just ate, like what do you
that
tell
was
them?
me."
Oh, we have to wait. Like
Well, so I was at Outback Steakhouse, shout out, and with my parents, they had just gone to Tampa. I was in Tampa at the time. They had just gone in. We
listen
went
to
to,
a commercial for Outback.
I know, right. I know. Okay, so I worked there for anybody watching. I
Your
worked
whole
there in my
family, I
Ireland.
think.
I got Monica a job there. Forgot. I forgot you worked there
For a
for a
minute.
day, literally.
Not for me.
No, not good for our friendship either. I was like, Monica, best table five. What are you doing? And you're like, I'm rolling silverware. Um, but anyways, yeah, so we went to Outback. I had a bloomin' onion. I had cheese fry. I am pregnant, okay? I am eating everything. I had a steak. I had a potato. I had a thunder from down under. And then I went to the bathroom and I started contracting. And I was like, oh shit. Then went home and was like full cow mode mooing on the bathroom floor. My mom's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "This is it. Like, this is happening." And my daughter was breech, so I knew I was gonna have to have a C-section. But I wanted to feel labor so bad. I was just in the bathroom, like feeling it, and my husband's like, we should really go." And I was like, "No, I just want to feel this." And then the contractions started coming like every 3 minutes. He's like, "We really gotta go." So then we went to the hospital, and I was like 5 centimeters, and they're like, "Yeah, we got." And it was the day before Thanksgiving. Yeah, so I was like, okay. So, but anyways, all that to say, I did not have any reaction during surgery. I was not burping up bloomin' onion. I mean, so ladies, like, come on, eat.
Eat.
Like, you need the energy.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my
My
God.
friend is pregnant right now and I'm with her second and I'm like, eat. Like just take snacks. Like you'll be okay, I promise.
Hide them under your pillow.
Yeah. No, I would
Do
like
it.
sneak. It was like really crazy. And I was like,
Yeah.
God, give me more rice.
Yeah.
And then I had a spicy soup, and my water broke. And like
Yes.
it was like this whole thing. And then
Again,
the
shout
show
out to
started.
PF Chang's
What's
and Outback, which is wild because I don't eat Outback. Like, not my thing. But that was my last meal. So I mean,
the full
I guess
circle moment, I
it
guess.
was a full circle moment for sure. Um, but yeah, that book, Ina May's book, it really did. It just it was everything I needed to mentally prepare. I think people even said, "You want to learn how to birth? Like, go on a farm and watch, go watch some natural life. Like that is how you birth. Like even just the breathing and like how because
Yeah.
with you and hypnobirthing, I want to talk about your experience doing that. And I feel bad because I know this is not what we're here to talk about, but a lot of people are interested, I feel like nowadays, of just doing things a little bit more naturally. And maybe that's not the right word, but just going back to how we used to do things. So
Yeah, I think even if you want like the epidural and the induction and whatever, if you want that, no judgment, that's what you want, still take the hypnobirthing class. Like I think it was so beneficial. I learned so much. And they just teach you how they just show childbirth in a completely different way. And you see a bunch of these childbirths and it's like, wow, it's really not this intense like you're screaming at the top of your lungs situation. It's actually pretty peaceful. I'm not saying it's not it's painful. Like it's like it's not a comfortable experience, but it's doable. I swear. But I think they teach you how to breathe, so different types of breaths. They teach you how to they give you like a meditation script to start listening to. So I would do that every morning and every night. So I kind of like trained myself to like kind of be in this like meditative state where it's like a couple of times I like fell asleep and I thought I was doing it wrong. And my instructor was like, no, 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 that means like you're really in that state. So, yeah,
That's impressive.
crazy. And affirmations. So I would listen to affirmations every car ride, in the shower. Um, it was a pretty amazing experience to where when I was in the hospital and I was having contractions, I would do the hypnobirthing exercise and my mom would be talking to me and I would just be like in my zone. And then when the contraction would end, I would just like go back and talk to her. And she would be like, but the monitor said like 80, like, you could see it. And I'm, I it's my hypnobirthing because she was not a believer. And she's like, oh my gosh. And then when I was in like peak labor, my mom was like told my husband like put that lady on, put the meditation on, and my husband's like not now, like this is not now for meditation. But it was it helped a lot. It definitely made me feel more in control. That's the wrong way of saying it. It helped me. It allowed me to release control, to kind of like be okay with not being in control. And it was amazing. And I was so proud of myself. And like I was on a high for so long because I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe like I did that. It's insane.
Yeah, I think women are so powerful. I love hearing that experience for you. And I hope one day I can have that full experience. It's funny because you're like, oh, it wasn't painful. And I mean, it is, and it's not. The other day, I was literally thinking how I want to feel my contractions again. And that is so weird. But I just was like, I kind of want to feel it again.
Which is it's kind of sad, but mine got crazy after my water broke. That's when I was like, oh my gosh. But so I was induced at what, 3 p.m. So I would say I gave birth at 5:30. So from 3 p.m. and then the next day, 1:30 p.m., it felt like my period cramps. Like for me. Like, but I have really now I know that my period, like I've always known they're not normal, but like I was like, whoa, like my midwife would come in, she's like, how are you doing? I'm like, I just feel like I'm on my period. And she's like, wow,
While you're contracting, you felt like it
having
was
my
just,
contractions, it just felt like my period.
girl, you must have some very painful.
Painful. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But I have PCOS and like it's a whole thing, but very, very painful that I've dealt with my whole life. So my acupuncturist also has painful periods, and I would tell her like she had a home birth, and I'm like, okay, so like come on, like be honest with me, like how bad is bad? Like here are my period cramps. And she's like, you're gonna be okay. And like I was like, oh, really, the last 1:30 to 5:30 was
It's
like
1:30 to 5:30 p.m.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's when I got primal. So to circle back to like watching animals, and me and my husband would joke about it because like my acupuncturist would be like, don't be shy, get primal. And I'm thinking lion, like I'm gonna get primal. And after we were done, I was like, I went to my husband, I was like, oh, so did I get like primal like by sounds? Because I was on all fours like on the bed at one point, and he was like, it was like a whale, like
Dory from.
he's like, yeah. He's like, it was like, I'm like, okay, whatever. I guess it wasn't like a lion primal thing, but
I
um,
wasn't a sexy lioness.
yeah, no, it wasn't sexy at all, but it was pretty crazy.
In the book, I think that's where I read it. They tell you to like hum, like your body needs
Mhm.
to be, and it's just like, I don't know what it does to your body. Does it
It
just
like
kind of
puts it in
balance?
a relaxed state. So when you're in flight or fight, your uterus stops working. So like the example they gave in hypnobirthing is like if you're giving birth in the middle of like the woods, let's say, and a bear comes, your body will literally stop the birthing process to get you to safety. So Yeah, it's crazy. So if you're like scared during birth, your body is gonna stop that process, and that's like what makes it super painful because you're like resisting birth.
Yeah, I recall being in the bathroom, again, living in an apartment in Tampa. My dad's outside the door watching football. I'm on my hands and knees mooing like a cow, but it was everything I needed. And I just
Yeah.
hear like it get louder and louder outside like the football game. And I was like, what the hell? I mean, you don't really, I'm not focusing on it, but he was
Yeah,
probably like, I do not want to hear my daughter doing
yeah,
this right
yeah.
now. Um, yeah, it's crazy. Okay, so I have index cards
Okay.
because I'm like, I need to focus. Okay, jumping to postpartum, can you break down what the postpartum period actually looks like? What does it include? How long does it last? And yeah, like just overall, what does it look like for most people?
Yeah, so the postpartum period is after childbirth. So first you could have baby blues, and baby blues is essentially, when a woman can have like some mood swings, some crying spells, irritability, fatigue, exhaustion, but that usually will only last for 2 to 3 weeks. And then what we see is if it goes past that 3 week mark, it turns into postpartum depression. And then that is when it has its persistent sadness, persistent hopelessness or helplessness, like losing interest in things that used to make them like pleasurable things for them, fatigue, tiredness, and things like that. And it can look up to a year. Some women experience it longer. We're not, it's very common, but they can. So that would be that post.
So, in postpartum, and you and I have talked about this before, there's anxiety, there's depression, there's
Mhm,
OCD.
mhm,
Um, I want you to talk a little bit about all of that if you can. And
mhm.
before you get into that, I'm curious, how many women would you say, like percentage wise, like actually experience some sort of postpartum anxiety, depression, or OCD?
I don't know the exact percentage, but what I can say is that women who have underlining factors, like if a woman who has like PCOS or like endometriosis or a history of depression and anxiety is more susceptible to postpartum depression or postpartum anxiety or postpartum OCD. Um, Postpartum OCD is not one that is talked about a lot, but it does happen. So the anxiety, I'll kind of break it down each. So postpartum anxiety presents like generalized anxiety. So that's like excessive worrying, ruminating thoughts, maybe difficulty concentrating, things like that. But it's, in that period after the baby is born. And then postpartum OCD is much like OCD, but it's just related to the baby. So some common ones are contamination.
What was that?
Contamination, OCD can be a common one. Maybe not letting your baby leave the house or being around other people or, going to open spaces, not on like a typical level, on more it's like excessive, where it's like you refuse to leave your house with your baby or you refuse to anyone come over or you're spending hours cleaning and um, sanitizing and things like that, where it can really impair someone's function.
And with postpartum anxiety, depression, what does it feel like?
So, postpartum depression would be this very, I think it's different for everyone, but a very gloomy, intense feeling of sadness that you really just can't shake off. It persists for many, weeks, months, again, up to a year, maybe self-isolating or withdrawing from loved ones. If there's a history of trauma there, some women can like dissociate. Um, just lack of motivation, not really wanting to, probably the most extreme, like not wanting to shower anymore, or We're not wanting to be around their baby could be a big one. Maybe they don't feel like a bond, um, things like that. And then anxiety would be just excessive worrying, maybe like difficulty sleeping. With depression, it can be too much. The anxiety can be the difficulty sleeping, excessive worrying, ruminating, a lot of, like just going on and on about being in an anxious,
Maybe
uh,
intrusive thoughts.
intrusive thoughts. Yeah. Mhm.
Like, I hear all of this, and I was not formally diagnosed with anything postpartum, and that was mainly because I never sought out help. I was so scared, and I did not want to admit it to myself and to anybody. Um, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I had all of it. Is there any way? And I don't mean a lot, but like, I can make light of it right now. I just feel like I'm feeling normal again. Is it is it possible to have all three?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you're like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not common. You definitely have to like rule out some things. Um, Usually, like if someone's anxiety and depression are like best friends. So I always kind of look at it that way. Like when depression is kind of at stage, anxiety is kind of in the back way, like ready to kind of like switch. And then OCD is kind of like it's an anxiety disorder, but it's its own other kind of entity, and that is really when you experience very unwanted, intrusive thoughts that are followed by compulsions to get rid of the thoughts. But the compulsions are at an active level. So, it's really taking up a lot of time.
Yeah. It's so interesting. And this is what I did, instead of seeking help, I'm like, okay, let me just like figure this out on my own. Like let me just do all the research and um I was like, maybe I'm just exhausted. Maybe I'm just so tired. And again, going back to what you posted the other day, and that woman was talking and she was saying that everybody is so quick to just say that hormones are the culprit, like hormones, hormones, hormones. But she was like, imagine you aren't like, this is not exactly how she said it, but you're not sleeping, your diet changes, you're in complete isolation, your world turns upside down. It's completely different now. And they use that as tactics in war for torture.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy. And it made me put it into a different perspective for me because, and looking back, I struggled so much. And that's why I'm like, what does it feel like? I want you to tell me what it feels like because it's hard for me to even articulate what it felt like. I was sad. I was exhausted. I felt alone, even though I wasn't. I felt like, again, just isolated, disconnected from myself and from the world. I felt like everybody was moving on and all these things were happening in the world and everybody's celebrating this. And look at social media. This person is 2 months postpartum and they're running and doing cartwheels, and I'm over here still in bed crying, co-sleeping. You know what I mean? It's just like, so it just felt like all of these things. And um, yeah, it's just so hard to put like one word to it because I felt empty. I felt so empty. And then I felt crazy because I'm like, I have everything. I'm holding the world in my arms and I love this girl so much. How selfish of me. How selfish of me to feel completely empty right now. So it's like this tug of war going on in your mind that you can't even put one word or one feeling to it because you're feeling everything. That's how I felt postpartum. And I never heard of anyone going through that before. So I didn't speak up, until one day I did. I heard a podcast and some girl was talking about how she felt postpartum. And I remember then after that podcast talking to my husband, and I just broke down and I said, I think I'm depressed. And it was like a weight lifted off of me, and having the best support ever from him is what got me through it. But Yeah, like some people don't have that support. And sorry, I can go on and on talking about but it's just, it was such a crazy feeling. And especially now looking back, you're just like, whoa, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I know when I had my daughter, I thought I knew I was susceptible to something. I thought I was going to get more like I was like, oh, I'll probably have the anxiety portion more than the depression. And I thought it was going to feel more of like right when I got my period because I struggle with like mood kind of going up and down around my period. I was like, okay, I can handle that. But it was a wild experience. I had the baby blues, and then I was like, okay, well, now it's 4 weeks. I'm still crying in my shower. Now it's 5 weeks. We're still crying. People definitely were able to tell because I went to the pediatrician and she was like, listen, like there's no law, like there's medications because I was just not there. I think like I was just completely like not present. My midwife noticed, everyone around me noticed I just wasn't present. Um, and then my experience kind of turned into postpartum OCD, where I became very obsessed with time. And it was just all day in my head, right? So like kind of talking about like waste a lot of time before going anywhere, I would have to break down the time of okay, it takes like 8 minutes to get here. And then it would take this many minutes to do this, but then her bottle's at this time, and then we're gonna get back at this time. Like, and I would go to my husband and be like, what shift are you doing? And he would have to tell me like over and over, and it's like, sure. It was wild. And my husband is the best human being because he was like, this is overwhelming. Like I was just about time and so OCD is a fear, like a really intense fear, and mine was sleep. So I was like had intense fear of not sleeping where her when she would wake up, which babies do, bring them home, and it would just put me in my that like feeling I did not like. Um, so I was like we have to keep to the schedule. So she would sleep. And I guess not unfortunately, but it worked to where it would reinforce my OCD because when I stuck to the schedule, she would sleep all night. So then that reinforced of like, oh, we have to do it exactly like that every day. I like wouldn't leave, you know.
Monica, I'm smiling because I'm thinking of something so crazy. Because I told you earlier how my daughter's only slept through the night for a month at some point. I think it was like 8 months. I would put her, I would make sure the air was the same. The 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 what is it called? The
Humidifier?
no, like the sound.
Oh, the sound machine.
The white noise. The sound machine. It was on, I had on my phone the app, like it would tell me and I would position it correctly where it was. And I would put her in the same pajamas. I would wash them and be like, these are the pajamas. She likes them. This was it. So I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure like I had just hearing your experience, I'm pretty sure I had something of everything going on. But sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just that
No.
made
Yeah.
me
And the
laugh.
thing is, like, when we get into this like magical thinking of like, well, if this pajama is the one, and like that won't let her sleep, and we link these things. And yeah, the same. We need the air and this. I mean, still guilty of like the sound machine has to be on level 24. That's wild. I just think 24.
It's the number.
So it's like little things like that. Yeah.
It's really low, 24.
Has her camera sound machine. This is the hatch. Because now we have the nightlight. We have like a two. That's probably why she's like, what's all this noise?
What the hell? I can't see my binkies. It's so dark in here. I can hear things. I remember in December, I had a spa day with my husband's group of girlfriends, and they're all moms, and they were telling me their experiences. And I was like, thank you. I needed this spa day. I needed to hear all of the crazy shit that you felt postpartum because it's just not talked about
I know.
at all. So at the end of the day, like, what got you through your postpartum OCD?
I guess I didn't realize it was happening until I went to an office party and one of the nurse practitioners there was asking me, it was the first time I everyone saw me, how's everything going? And I kind of, as in jokingly, was like, oh my God, I have a husband is like, wants to like, you know, he's so over me because I'm obsessed with time and like, and then she kept talking to me and she was like, that sounds like postpartum OCD. I was like, what? No, no. I thought like I'd be like
Not me.
depression, but like she's like, yeah, that's what it sounds like. And then that's when I kind of was like, okay, I know what I know about OCD is if you don't treat it, it gets worse over time. So I just started kind of doing therapy on myself. I wouldn't feed her. It sounds ridiculous as it is, but if it was at 7 a.m., I would get to her at like 7:15. It would be anxiety. It would pull me through so I would just kind of do that. Like, okay, like push it out, or maybe let's give it to her before.
How long did it take for you to start seeing a difference in yourself?
My overall mood when I decided to, which was a really hard decision, but when I decided to stop nursing her, because I had deep, I feel like I have all these things. I had femur, which is like dysphoric milk ejection response, and when you get depressed while you pump or nurse, it's wild.
Okay, but see, that's what I'm saying is, I mean, I know that I could sit here and you and I could literally talk for hours, for days
Yeah.
about all the things that contribute to your body and all the changes it experiences postpartum. And so I mean, it's not just one thing that can happen.
Yeah, I think you like said something really cool. I think talking to other women was huge. Like at least for me, what I got out of my birthing classes were these two amazing women, and all of our daughters were born a couple weeks apart, and we would just hang out. It was like comical because we would just talk about what we were going through, and we're all very different. Like one chose not to nurse, one chose to combo feed. Like I was like exclusively nursing and pumping, and all very different judgment, and asking other moms like, do you feel this? Like I promise a mom is going to be like 100% yes. Like
Absolutely.
this is what I felt. These were my thoughts. Because it's just that I think it's a big thing. Yes, my husband was supportive and he to this day is amazing. But it's not the same like hearing it from another woman.
I know. It's like the hospital offers all of these classes, and I want them to offer a like, hey, bitch, this is a reality check. This is what you're gonna feel when after the baby blues wear off. You know,
Yeah.
like here's
Also,
what
you'll
you need
never
to
be
prepare for.
yourself again. Like I remember one day, one of the days I was like, I saw a picture. We took a picture before we went to the hospital. And I just saw that picture of her crying, and I'm like, oh my God, I'll never be that girl again where it was just so quiet. I was like, I didn't think about anything. I was very like la la la, like life was so great, like everything was about energy, and
You will never be that person.
now it's like, oh my gosh, did you check the monitor? Like, did you eat? Did you give her a bath? Like, is she warm? And it's exhausting.
Yeah. I mean, we fed Olivia something, oops, jalapeno chips yesterday. She
Did she like that?
she loved them, and I was like, "Oh, please don't like these," but she did, and she broke out in hives. And then I put her down for a nap, and I was like, is she gonna wake up? Like she's not a good napper, but here she is sleeping for 2 hours. Like, is she okay? I
Jalapeno.
know. I just need to shock her body into just rest. No, but I mean, yeah, you just constantly think about everything forever. I remember my little sister telling me one day you're just gonna feel okay. You don't even realize it. There's just this day and you're like, "Oh, I feel okay again." And I forgot about that because it took for so long for me to feel that way. And like today is the day. Shout out to Julie, my little sister, because today is that day. No, but it just started happening.
I try to be as transparent as I can. The first 4 months were not, I was having fun. I was like, and my mom's always like, no, you can't say that. I'm like, it was not fun. Like, she was yelling at me. She was screaming at me. She hated me. I felt guilty because it was like, we took her out too early. But she didn't want to be outside yet. Wild, but now it's fun. She like is actually like a human. Like she's looking at me, she's smiling, she hits me, and I'm like, oh, there you are.
Yeah. Oh, hi. You're a human being. I know. And I appreciate you saying that, like the first 4 months, because again, I have people in my life, like my sisters, are like, they love the infant stage. My two sisters, I think, would have like 30 kids if they could, just to repeat that infant stage. I did not. I actually wrote one day in my journal, I hate this. And
Yeah.
and I felt guilty for saying, I'm like, I'm over here saying I hate being a mom, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I hate not sleeping. I hate having my boobs sucked on every 3 hours, but also I'm going to do it because I love it,
Yeah.
but I hate it. It's just such, like I said earlier, tug of war. And it's like, is anyone else feeling this? And then you get with a group of moms, like bringing it back to that, and they're like, oh, yeah, girl. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, can you talk about it more on social media? So
No, I wish people talked about it more because it's like it's wild, and you need a village. Like you need support. Like that's one thing I did there. Like I generally, my mom and dad did it on their own because my dad was in the military, so they weren't family. So it's kind of like my expectation of like you do it on your own. Then I was like, hey mom, no, like you needs to come help me.
yeah.
I love when my mom is because I'm a daughter. Just like go at it.
Okay. I wanted to ask you, so what made you want to specialize specifically in peri and postnatal therapy?
So I would say before I got pregnant, I was interested in it. I thought it was, I was treating individuals with depression and anxiety, and I still do, and I love that. And then it just came my way. One of my coworkers, is the nurse practitioner. She's amazing, and she was talking to me about it, and I kind of looked into it. And I'm like, oh, like yeah, I think I'd be interested in it, and I did it, and I did it throughout. I mean, I did it before I got pregnant. I paused because I was going through the IVF process, and it was really triggering for me to like talk to other women that were pregnant, or that was just very hard on me at the time. So I took a break, and then got pregnant, had my daughter, and then what I went through, it kind of solidified like, oh, like I really, really like this. So then I got back into it and I started seeing clients in it. Because it's just something I liked, and maybe I don't know if this is like a good therapy response, because therapy would be very like there's like rules to therapy. But I like to treat things I've I've experienced, that I've like lived through. Not that I've lived through everything, because of course there'll be individuals who've had certain traumas and things like that that I treat that I haven't experienced. But I think that's really what drew me to anxiety. Like I have a history of anxiety, and I love treating anxiety. So then when I went through my experience postpartum, I was like, oh yeah, like I really want to get into this and like get those clients back on the books and start treating those individuals.
What would you say to a new mom or someone who is trying to be a mom and they're going through some of these struggles?
I would say find support, like find people, around you that can support you, figure out what that looks like for you, verbalize your needs, and really reflect on what it is that that you need, that you're struggling with. A village doesn't have to happen after you have a baby. And I think, before that process happens, really find your people. I think support is the biggest thing in terms of, feeling really safe and comfortable through that process.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Where can people find you?
So I am a virtual therapist and I'm on Psychology Today. So you can type in like Psychology Today, Monica Garcia. And I'm also on the Alma platform, which takes insurances. So you can find me on there.
Well, thank you so much again for hanging out with me. I think, if anything, just you being so transparent and me sharing my story as well, like, I just really hope it encourages women to want to talk about it a little bit more. Or if they don't, they at least found two voices here today that, resonated with them a little bit. So I hope this helped somebody, and I'm sure it did. So thank you so much for taking the time to hang out.
You're so welcome. Thank you.